While most people are busy scrolling TikTok or binge-watching their favorite shows, Amish families in Ohio and Pennsylvania are quietly preparing for what could be one of the strangest winters we've ever seen. They're stockpiling 10 incredibly cheap, yet surprisingly valuable items, each under $5 that could become absolute lifesavers when the grid goes down. And if Noah's predictions about this unpredictable winter of 2025 are even half right, these items might just be worth more than gold, or better yet, perfect for bartering when supplies run dry. Hey there, I'm Sean. I've been a prepper since 2014, living right here in the Midwest, where I've experienced everything from ice storms to blackouts and that unforgettable deep freeze in 2019 that left us without power for 6 long days. But here's the thing. This winter feels different. It's not just colder, it's weirder, more unpredictable, and with supply chains still shaky, waiting until the last minute could leave you staring at empty shelves and overpriced essentials. That's why today I'm sharing 10 overlooked, ultra-affordable survival items inspired by the Amish way of life. These aren't your typical stock up on rice and beans tips. These are clever, practical, and often forgotten essentials that are perfect for surviving, stockpiling, and even trading when times get tough. Stick around, because by the end of this video you'll know exactly what to buy, where to find it, and how to use it when the lights go out. Let's dive in. Item 1. Bike lighters. First up on our list are bike lighters. If you're going to stockpile only one fire-starting tool, this should be it. These simple, colorful plastic lighters are the true unsung heroes of winter preparation, especially when the situation gets serious. The ability to reliably create fire in any condition is an absolute non-negotiable for survival. Fire provides warmth, but it's also how you'll cook food, boil potentially contaminated water to make it safe, signal for help, and maintain morale when you've been sitting in the cold and dark for days. I saw the real-world value of a simple bike lighter firsthand during the blizzard that swept through in January 2024. My neighbor, who has a wood stove and is generally well prepared, ended up trading a full, ready-to-eat can of beef stew for just 2 bike lighters. It wasn't an act of desperation on his part, it was a matter of practicality. The person he traded with had a supply of matches that had gotten damp and useless, and his ferro rod just wouldn't throw a spark in the howling wet wind. Meanwhile, the bike lighter offered an instant, reliable flame with a simple click. That small click was the difference between a hot meal and shivering while eating cold beans from a can. In a crisis, that's a massive advantage. You can find these lighters almost anywhere: Walmart, Dollar General, gas stations, or online through retailers like Amazon. The best part is the incredible value. A 48-pack on Amazon currently costs around $12, which works out to a mere 25 cents per lighter. Even if your budget is extremely tight, grabbing a 5-pack from the dollar store for a few bucks is one of the most effective, high-impact survival moves you can make. While some preppers might advocate for reusable Zippo lighters, they are less practical for bulk stockpiling and bartering. A single Zippo can cost $20 or more, and it requires separate fuel and regular maintenance. For the same price, you could have a cache of nearly 80 disposable Bics, each providing hundreds of lights with zero fuss. Their lightweight design means you can stash them everywhere: your vehicle's glove box, your bug-out bag, every coat pocket, and your kitchen junk drawer. Here are a couple of pro tips I've integrated into my own prep routine. First, always test one lighter from each new pack you buy. I've purchased lighters in bulk before, only to discover that an entire batch was defective, with either no fuel or faulty flints. It's far better to find that out now than during an emergency. Second, a fascinating tip I learned from Amish traders in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, is to freeze your lighters for 24 hours before you put them into long-term storage. The intense cold causes the butane inside to contract, which helps to seal any minuscule leaks in the valve. This simple trick can significantly extend their shelf life. I've been doing this for years, and lighters from my stockpile still ignite perfectly after 18 months. Finally, store them in an airtight container with a silica gel packet to ward off moisture, the silent killer of any fire-starting tool. Item 2. 35mm film canisters. Next, we have an item that might sound completely outdated: 35mm film canisters. I know you're probably thinking, film canisters in 2025? But trust me, these small plastic cylinders are one of the most clever and nearly free survival hacks I've learned from Amish communities. The ability to keep small, critical items completely dry and secure is far more important than most people realize. Think about what you need to protect: fire tinder, emergency medication, seeds for a future garden or for barter, spare cash, or even a micro SD card loaded with important documents and survival guides. If any of these items get wet, they become worthless. I picked up this trick from an Amish friend in Holmes County, Ohio. He uses these canisters to store everything from herbal tinctures to fire-starting materials all year round. During a brutal week-long power outage following a storm, this simple practice proved its worth. While other people's tinder, like cotton balls, soaked up the damp basement air and turned into useless clumps of lint, his remained bone dry, safely sealed inside one of these airtight film canisters. That is the crucial difference between starting a fire in seconds or spending a cold, miserable night shivering. What makes these canisters so valuable is their versatility and durability. They are waterproof, crush-resistant, and feature a tight sealing lid. Their compact size allows them to fit easily in a pocket, yet they are spacious enough to hold matches, pills, fish hooks, or a rolled-up bill. Because of their uniform cylindrical shape, they stack together neatly, allowing you to organize and store a large number of them in a very small space. This is incredibly important for a bug-out bag or if you need to transport goods for bartering. Getting your hands on these is often easy and free. Just visit local photo developing labs. Many still have boxes of them left over from the days of film photography and are happy to give them away. If you don't have a local lab, check online marketplaces like eBay or community groups like FreeCycle. I've seen large lots available for $1 or less, and sometimes people will give them away just to clear out attic space. While you could use old prescription pill bottles, they tend to be bulkier, don't stack as efficiently, and their caps don't provide the same reliable seal. The film canister's lid has a special groove that creates a superior O-ring effect, making it a much better choice for long-term waterproof storage. I keep about 2 dozen of these in my main prep bin, all clearly labeled with a permanent marker so I can quickly identify the content. One holds tinder, another holds water purification tablets, and a third contains valuable seeds. A great pro tip is to drill a tiny hole near the top, attach a key ring, and create a waterproof fob for your keys that can hold emergency cash or a tiny USB drive with your digital backups. Item 3. Used coffee cans. The third item is something so common that most people throw it away without a second thought. Used coffee cans. Those empty metal cans from brands like Folgers or Maxwell House are absolute gold for winter preparedness, and the best part is that they are completely free. The ability to cook, store goods, or even heat a small area without electricity is a fundamental survival skill. When the grid goes down, you need a way to boil water, melt snow for drinking, or protect emergency supplies, and a clean coffee can can do all of that and more. I truly understood the value of a simple metal can during the 2019 Midwest deep freeze. Our power was out for 6 long days. By day 3, I had fashioned a mini hobo stove from an old coffee can, using just twigs and a couple of tea lights for fuel. I was able to boil water in under 15 minutes. At the same time, I saw a neighbor trying to heat soup in a plastic container over a candle. A huge mistake. Metal conducts heat efficiently and won't melt or leach harmful chemicals into your food. The incredible value of these cans comes from their toughness and multifunctionality. The Amish families I've spoken with use them for a huge variety of purposes. They store rendered lard for cooking, organize nails and hardware, keep sewing kits dry, and even use them to store barterable goods like dried herbs or tobacco. The cans are rust-resistant, they stack efficiently, and their plastic lids create a decent seal to keep moisture out. You can get them for free by simply saving your own or by asking neighbors, churches, or local diners, which often go through dozens each week. If you must buy one, a standard 11-ounce can at a grocery store costs about $3 or $4, but it comes with coffee inside. Why pay when you can repurpose? Before you put a can to use, make sure you prepare it properly. Rinse it out thoroughly with soap and water, peel off the paper label, and use a small metal file or sandpaper to smooth down any sharp edges left by the can opener. Once it's prepped, it's ready for a multitude of uses. You can cook in it, store dry goods, or even use it as a makeshift toilet in an emergency by lining it with a trash bag. Here's a critical pro tip. Never use a coffee can for long-term storage of gasoline or kerosene. The residual oils from the coffee can react with the fuel and create dangerous fumes. Stick to dry goods, water, or other food-safe applications. Item 4. Bulk Beeswax tea light candles. Coming in at number 4 are Beeswax tea light candles. Forget the scented, decorative candles you buy for ambiance. These are genuine survival tools. When the unpredictable winter of 2025 leaves you in the dark for an extended period, these small but mighty items will prove their worth. The ability to generate safe, long-lasting light and a bit of heat, without relying on electricity, is a game changer. It's not just about practicality, like seeing your way around a dark house, it's about morale. Fire provides a psychological comfort that is hard to overstate when everything else feels chaotic and uncertain. Beeswax is the superior choice for a survival stockpile. Unlike cheap paraffin candles, which are a petroleum byproduct, beeswax burns cleanly without producing the black soot that can coat your walls and get into your lungs. Beeswax candles are also known to emit negative ions when burned, which can help purify the air by binding with dust, pollen, and other airborne particles. Most importantly, they burn significantly longer than their paraffin counterparts. A single beeswax tea light can provide 4 to 6 hours of consistent light and warmth. I've personally used them to gently warm a small tent, dry out a pair of damp socks overnight, and even slowly heat a mason jar of soup during a winter power outage. Amish communities have relied on them for generations, not just for light but for everyday tasks like warming a baby's bottle or softening beeswax food wraps. You can source these in bulk from places like Azure Standard if you have a local drop point, directly from Amish bulk food stores, or conveniently on Amazon. A 100 pack of 100% beeswax tea lights will generally cost around $20, which averages out to a mere 20 cents per candle. For a tighter budget, starting with a 24-pack from a local health food store for $5 or $6 is a fantastic first step. That is an incredibly small investment for a tool that can provide hours of life-sustaining light and heat. A critical detail to watch for is the label. Ensure it says 100% beeswax. Many companies mix in cheaper paraffin or soy wax to reduce costs, but these blends won't burn as cleanly or for as long. For storage, I keep mine in a sealed plastic tote with a silica gel packet. While moisture won't ruin the wax itself, it can affect the wicks and the container keeps dust and pests out. A great pro tip I learned from an off-grid homesteader is to create a mini oven. Place 3 lit tea lights inside an empty coffee can, like the one from our previous item, and set a wire cooling rack over the top. This simple setup creates enough contained heat to warm food or dry out herbs. It's silent, efficient, and uses items you already have. Item 5, 100% wool socks. Thrifted. Next on the list is something that could literally save your toes: 100% wool socks. I'm not talking about the fuzzy cotton blend socks you wear around the house. I mean thick, durable, real wool socks. The kind that keep your feet warm even when they are completely soaked. Maintaining your core body temperature is a survival fundamental, and it starts from your feet up. You lose a significant amount of heat through your extremities, and if your feet get cold and wet for a prolonged period, you're facing more than just discomfort. You're at real risk for frostbite and hypothermia. This is where the material science of socks becomes critical. Cotton is often called the fabric of death in survival circles because it absorbs moisture and holds it against your skin, rapidly pulling heat away from your body. Synthetic materials like polyester might dry quickly, but they offer very little insulation once they become damp. Wool, on the other hand, is a natural miracle fiber. It can absorb up to 30% of its weight in moisture before it even begins to feel wet, and it continues to insulate and provide warmth even when saturated. I learned this lesson the hard way during the January 2024 blizzard. My truck slid into a ditch, and I was stranded for over 10 hours in sub-zero temperatures. My boots eventually soaked through with melted snow, but because I was wearing a thick pair of merino wool socks, my feet stayed warm enough for me to keep wiggling my toes and maintain circulation. A friend in a similar situation, who was wearing a cotton blend, ended up with minor frostbite and couldn't feel his toes for 2 days. The value of wool socks extends beyond personal survival. They are a prime barter item. In a long-term grid-down scenario, a clean, dry pair of high-quality wool socks would be worth more than gold to someone suffering from the cold. People with children, in particular, would trade food, fuel, or tools to keep their families' feet warm and safe. The best place to build your stockpile is at thrift stores like Goodwill or the Salvation Army. You can often find excellent quality wool socks for just $1 to $3 a pair. Just be diligent about checking the tags. Look for 100% wool, merino, wool, or a blend with at least 80% wool. Avoid anything with a high percentage of acrylic or polyester, as it negates the benefits. If buying new, look for sales at outdoor retailers, but for building a large stockpile, thrift stores are your best bet. In my home, we maintain a dedicated bin with over 20 pairs stored in vacuum-sealed bags to protect them from moths. As a pro tip, toss in a few cedar blocks or a sachet of dried lavender. They are natural moth repellents that won't leave your socks smelling like chemical mothballs. Item 6. Water purification tablets. The sixth item is a small but mighty lifesaver: chlorine dioxide water purification tablets. If you think your high-end water filter or plans to boil water have you completely covered, you might want to reconsider. When pipes freeze, well pumps lose power, or your only water source is melted snow from a questionable location, you need a backup plan that is foolproof, lightweight, and effective. Having the ability to make any water source safe to drink, quickly and without needing fire, is an absolute necessity. Boiling water is effective, but it consumes precious fuel and takes time. Water filters are great, but they can clog with sediment, and their internal elements can freeze and crack in cold weather, rendering them useless. A tiny purification tablet solves these problems. You simply drop one into a liter of water, wait about 30 minutes, and it is safe to drink. The chlorine dioxide kills bacteria, viruses, and protozoa like Giardia and Cryptosporidium. This is incredibly important because dehydration is a silent threat in cold weather. You don't feel thirsty the same way you do in the heat, so it's easy to neglect fluid intake. Drinking untreated water from a puddle, stream, or melted snow bank is a recipe for disaster, leading to severe gastrointestinal illness when you can least afford it. I've relied on these tablets for years during winter camping trips and emergency drill. After the 2024 blizzard, a neighbor had to draw water from a snow pile near his barn, which was likely contaminated with animal waste. 2 tablets made that water safe to drink. Amish families understand this principle of redundancy. They keep these tablets in their buggies, root cellars, and first aid kits, not because they distrust their wells, but because they are prepared for the unexpected. You can find these tablets at Walmart in the camping section, at outdoor stores like REI, and on Amazon. A bottle of 100 tablets typically costs around $12, which purifies 100 liters of water. That's just 12 cents per liter. Even a smaller 50-tablet bottle for $7 or $8 is an excellent, budget-friendly insurance policy for your health. While some suggest using household bleach, it's difficult to measure correctly in a stressful situation. It's not portable, and it's certainly not ideal for bartering. Pre-measured tablets are simple and easy to trade. A pro tip is to always pre-filter cloudy or murky water through a bandana or coffee filter before adding the tablet. This helps the chemical work more effectively and improves the taste. Also, be mindful of their shelf life, which is typically 4 to 5 years. Store them in a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight, as heat and humidity will degrade their effectiveness over time. Finally, make sure you are buying chlorine dioxide tablets, not iodine tablets. Iodine does not kill Cryptosporidium and is not recommended for pregnant women or for long-term use. Chlorine dioxide is the safer, more effective choice used by serious preppers and the military. Item 7. Safety pins. Bulk, assorted sizes. Next up is an item so common it's practically invisible: the humble safety pin. Don't dismiss these tiny pieces of bent metal. In a crisis, a handful of assorted safety pins could be one of the most versatile and valuable tools in your entire prep. Having the ability to repair, secure, and improvise solutions on the fly is a critical skill when you can't just run to the store for a replacement. A broken zipper on your winter coat in freezing winds? A couple of large safety pins will hold it shut and keep you warm. A torn pair of pants while you're gathering firewood? A few pins create a durable, temporary patch in seconds. The uses go far beyond simple clothing repair. In a medical scenario, a safety pin can be a lifesaver. You can use one to secure a bandage or pressure dressing over a wound, create a makeshift sling for an injured arm by pinning a sleeve to a shirt, or even carefully remove a splinter. I've personally used them for everything from rigging a tarp shelter during a sudden ice storm to pinning a makeshift diaper for my nephew when we were snowed in and ran out of disposables. The Amish community, known for its practical and self-reliant lifestyle, understands the deep value of the safety pin. Seamstresses keep them in every work basket, and they are often traded by the dozen as a form of local currency. When you live a life without modern conveniences like zippers and Velcro, a reliable fastener is indispensable. The best part is the cost. You can find massive assorted packs at dollar stores, craft aisles at Walmart, or even in old sewing kits at thrift shops for next to nothing. A bulk pack of over 100 pins often costs just $1 or $2, making the per item cost less than a penny. This is arguably one of the highest return on investment preps you can make. For storage, I keep at least 50 pins inside a 35mm film canister from item number 2. This keeps them dry, organized by size, and prevents them from rattling around or getting lost in a larger bag. A fantastic pro tip is to magnetize a few of your larger pins by rubbing them against a strong magnet. You can then stick them to the side of a metal ammo can or a toolbox for instant access. Don't underestimate their potential for gathering food either. In a true survival situation, a larger pin can be bent with pliers to form a functional fishing hook. Tie it to some cordage, add bait, and you have a way to catch a meal. One thing to watch out for is quality. The absolute cheapest pins can rust quickly or bend easily. If possible, look for nickel-plated or stainless steel pins, as they will hold up much better in damp conditions. Item 8. Vet Wrap. Cohesive bandage. Number 8 is an item you've probably seen in a vet's office or at a farm supply store. Vet Wrap. This stretchy, self-adhering bandage is designed for animals, but in a survival context, it becomes an incredibly versatile medical and utility tool that you can get for under $5. The ability to stabilize injuries, secure gear, or create waterproof seals without needing tape, clips, or knots is a massive advantage when you're under stress and every second counts. Vet Wrap sticks tenaciously to itself but not to skin, hair, or fur. This means you can create a secure compression wrap without the painful removal process associated with medical tape. It's breathable, remarkably strong, and holds its tension even when wet. When professional medical help is unavailable, you need a way to manage common injuries like sprains and strains. Vet Wrap is perfect for this. During the 2024 blizzard, I used it to help my cousin who twisted his ankle while out on his snowmobile. We wrapped his ankle tightly over a folded bandana to provide compression and support. The wrap held perfectly, allowing him to walk over a mile back to the cabin without the swelling getting out of control. Amish families often keep rolls of it in their barns and buggies for this exact reason. It works just as well on people as it does on livestock, and in an off-grid world, you use what you have to solve the problem at hand. Its utility extends far beyond first aid. It can be used to create a non-slip grip on a tool handle, like an axe or knife. You can use it to bundle firewood together for easier transport, or to silence rattling gear in your pack. Because it's waterproof, it's excellent for patching a small leak in a water bottle or hose. It's even stronger and more reliable than duct tape for securing a tarp in cold, windy conditions where adhesives fail. You can find Vet Wrap at any Tractor Supply Co., Farm Fleet stores, or online via Chewy and Amazon. A standard 4-inch by 5-yard roll typically costs between $3 and $5. For my primary first aid kit, I keep 2 rolls, one full-size roll and another that I've cut into narrower 2-inch strips and re-rolled. This allows me to use just what I need for smaller jobs or have ready-made barterable portions. A crucial pro tip: do not overstretch it during application. Stretching it more than 50% of its capacity reduces its ability to stick to itself and can dangerously restrict circulation. Always place a sterile dressing or clean cloth over an open wound before applying Vet Wrap. Finally, store it in a cool, dark place, as prolonged exposure to heat and sunlight will cause the material to degrade and lose its elasticity. Item 9. Instant Dry Yeast Vacuum-Sealed Packets. This next item might seem out of place on a survival list, but its value is threefold: food, a water purification aid, and a high-demand barter item. The item is instant dry yeast, sold in those small vacuum-sealed foil packets. The ability to create fresh, warm, morale-boosting food from simple, shelf-stable ingredients is more powerful than most people realize. After days of eating cold canned goods and dry granola bars, the smell and taste of a freshly baked loaf of bread can feel like a miracle. It's not just food, it's a taste of normalcy and a powerful symbol of hope. All it takes is flour, water, salt, and a pinch of this yeast. But here's the lesser-known survival application. Yeast is a living organism that consumes sugar and in the process produces carbon dioxide and alcohol. This process of fermentation can help suppress the growth of certain harmful bacteria. While it is absolutely not a substitute for a proper water filter or purification tablets, in a dire situation where you have no other options, adding a small amount of yeast and a pinch of sugar to questionable water can help reduce the microbial load while you wait for a better purification method. I learned this from Amish bakers who sometimes use this technique during the spring thaw when runoff can make their well water murky and suspect. What makes yeast so valuable for prepping is that it's lightweight, incredibly cheap, and highly tradable. A single packet can be used to create a sourdough starter, which can then be maintained to leaven bread indefinitely. In a community suffering through a long-term outage, the person who can provide the means to make fresh bread holds a valuable resource. A few packets of yeast could easily be traded for eggs, firewood, medicine, or other critical supplies. You can buy yeast in bulk at warehouse clubs like Costco or Sam's Club, where a large block of packets can cost as little as 20 cents each. Even a 3-pack from the grocery store for under $2 is a worthwhile investment. Just be sure to get instant dry yeast, not active dry yeast, as the instant variety has a longer shelf life and doesn't require a separate proofing step. For long-term storage, the freezer is your best friend. Stored in a vacuum-sealed Mylar bag in the freezer, yeast can remain viable for over a decade. Remember that yeast needs warmth to activate. In a cold house during a winter power outage, you can place your dough near a tea light candle from item 4 or inside an insulated cooler with a bottle of hot water to create a proofing box.